You have eaten chicken your entire life. You have eaten fish, beef, lamb, pork. You have probably even eaten duck. But there is one group of birds that has never appeared on any menu, in any restaurant, in any country on Earth. Birds of prey, eagles, hawks, falcons, owls, millions of them, everywhere, flying overhead right now. And not a single human civilization in history made them a food source. That is strange. That is really strange, because humans eat almost everything. We eat insects, we eat jellyfish, we eat organs, eyes, tongues, and things most people don't even want to think about. But a hawk? Never. Most people, when you ask them, say it's because of the law. Eagles are protected. You can't touch them. But that is not the answer, because the law came after the instinct. The real answer goes all the way down to your biology, to a survival rule so deep inside your brain that you follow it every single day without knowing it. Stay with me until the end. Because the last part of this changes how you think about every meal you have ever eaten. Here is the first question. What is actually wrong with eating a hawk? It has protein, it has muscle, it is a living, healthy animal. So why has no culture on Earth decided to eat it? The first clue is the taste. And this one surprises people. We think of meat quality as being about the animal itself, but actually meat quality is about what that animal ate. Cows eat grass, sheep eat grass, chickens eat grain. Their muscle tissue is mild, tender, clean. Now think about what a hawk eats. Mice, rats, other birds, sometimes snakes. Every single meal is another animal, and those animals had their own diets, their own chemistry, their own accumulated waste. That chemistry transfers into the hawk's muscle fibers, into the fat deposits, into the blood. People who have eaten raptor meat, and some have historically, describe it as almost unbearably intense. Gamey doesn't even cover it. Bitter, pungent, acrid, the kind of flavor that triggers your gag reflex without any warning, because your tongue knows something is wrong long before your brain does. But here's what's fascinating. The taste is actually a warning signal, and what it's warning you about is something far more dangerous than bad flavor. It is called biomagnification, and it is one of the most alarming processes in nature. Here is how it works. A small insect absorbs a tiny trace of mercury from the environment, barely detectable. A frog eats 100 of those insects. 100 tiny traces become one concentrated dose. A snake eats 20 frogs. The dose multiplies again. A hawk eats 15 snakes over its lifetime. Now you are not looking at a trace. You are looking at a concentration so high that it would be classified as toxic waste in a laboratory. The hawk does not get sick from it. Its body has evolved to manage it, but yours has not. Eating the muscle of an apex predatory bird does not give you protein. It gives you the accumulated chemical history of every animal that bird ever consumed. Mercury, lead, pesticides, industrial pollutants, heavy metals, compressed and concentrated into every bite. Scientists who study eagles and hawks, including researchers from the U.S. Geological Survey who have been monitoring raptor tissue since the 1960s, have consistently found heavy metal levels in birds of prey that would be dangerous to human health if consumed regularly. This is not a theory. This is measured, documented, replicated data. The bird is not just meat. The bird is a storage container for everything toxic that passed through the ecosystem below it. And now here is where it gets even stranger, because ancient humans did not know any of this. They had no concept of mercury accumulation. They had no laboratory. They had no toxicology reports, but they still did not eat birds of prey. How? The answer is disgust, and disgust is not a weakness. Disgust is one of the most sophisticated survival tools your brain has ever developed. Researchers Paul Rozin and Jonathan Haidt spent years studying the disgust response. Rozin's work, running through the 1980s and 1990s at the University of Pennsylvania, made something very clear. Disgust evolved specifically as a poison detector. Your ancestors could not chemically analyze their food, so their brains developed a shortcut. Certain smells, certain textures, certain types of food triggered an immediate revulsion response. Get away from this. Do not eat this. This will hurt you. That system is still running inside you right now. When you smell something rotten, you recoil before your brain has finished a single thought. When you see something that looks wrong, you feel the pull backward before you have even processed what you saw. That is your ancient survival system firing. And one of the oldest triggers in that system is the meat of carnivores, specifically apex carnivores, things that eat other things that eat other things. Your brain flags them as contaminated without ever needing to test the hypothesis. Because for hundreds of thousands of years, the ones who ate the wrong predators got sick and died. The ones who felt disgusted survived. You are descended from the ones who felt disgusted. But there is a second layer to this that almost no one talks about. And it has nothing to do with poison. It has to do with competition. Picture your ancestors, not ancient Rome, not medieval Europe. Much further back, 60, 80, 100,000 years ago. Small bands of humans living in open landscapes. They are not at the top of the food chain yet. They are prey to larger animals and they know it. Now look up. There is a golden eagle, wingspan of over 2 meters, talons that can crush bone. It is hunting the same valley they are hunting. It is after the same rabbits, the same small game, the same birds. That eagle is a competitor. But here is the strange thing. It is also an ally. Early humans learned to read the sky. Where the hawk circles, there is prey below. Where the eagle stoops, there is movement in the grass. Birds of prey were nature's hunting map. They were surveillance from the air. Killing and eating one would destroy a tool. Anthropologists studying forager societies from South America to sub-Saharan Africa have noted repeatedly that predatory birds are treated differently from prey animals. They are watched, followed, learned from, almost never targeted for food. This is not a law. This is a strategy. An instinct refined over millennia into something that feels almost like reverence. And reverence became culture. Across every civilization on Earth, birds of prey appear as symbols of power, divinity, and the sacred. The eagle was the symbol of Zeus in ancient Greece. The Romans put it on their military standards. Ancient Egyptians worshipped Horus as a falcon-headed god. The Aztecs built an entire empire around the vision of an eagle. Native American traditions treat the eagle feather as one of the most sacred objects a person can carry. In Mongolia, falconers have practiced an unbroken tradition with golden eagles for over 2,000 years, treating the birds as partners, not livestock. There is not a single powerful civilization in history that looked at a bird of prey and said, dinner. They all said, God. That is not a coincidence. Something in the shared human brain recoils from collapsing a symbol of power into a meal, because what we eat says something about us. What we refuse to eat says something too. And here's the part that connects all of this back to you. Right now, today, every meal you eat is the result of a decision made by your ancestors. Not a decision made at a table with plates and forks. A decision made in a forest or a savanna or on the edge of a river. A decision about what was safe. A decision about what was valuable. A decision about what was sacred. Those decisions became instincts. Those instincts became culture. Those cultures became grocery stores and menus and ingredient lists. And you walk through all of it every day making choices that feel completely natural, completely obvious, completely yours. But you are not choosing freely. You are following a script written by 10,000 years of survival pressure. The reason chicken is everywhere and hawk is nowhere is not arbitrary. The chicken was easy to domesticate, cheap to raise, mild in flavor, and carried no toxic load. The hawk was dangerous to the ecosystem if removed, impossible to farm, chemically contaminated, and symbolically untouchable. Nature and culture, working together for millennia, pointed every human civilization in the same direction, and every civilization arrived at the same answer. There is one final thing, something quiet and strange. The biomagnification problem does not only apply to hawks and eagles, it applies to any apex predator. It applies to large tuna, to swordfish, to shark. And here's the part that makes people pause. Humans are now apex predators. We sit at the top of every food chain we enter, we accumulate too. Every piece of plastic that enters the ocean, every industrial chemical that enters the water supply, every persistent pollutant that works its way up through the food chain, it ends up in us, in our fat tissue, in our bloodstreams, in our breast milk. We have run the same biomagnification process on ourselves that we instinctively avoided running on hawks, because we never thought of ourselves as the apex predator in that equation. But we are. We always were. You will never look at a hawk the same way again. Not because of what it is, because of what it tells you about what you are. You are the animal at the top, the one everything else accumulates in. And somewhere deep in your ancient brain, the one that still flinches at the wrong smell, the one that still tracks the sky when something moves, you already knew that. You just never put it into words.